The fastest way to tell someone's social class has nothing to do with their bag, their car, or their zip code. It has to do with how many words they use to justify a decision nobody asked them to explain. Stay with me, because by the end of this list, you will never watch a dinner table the same way again. A woman named Renata Kowalski left a comment on this channel that I have thought about for weeks. She is 50. She lives outside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. For over a decade, she has worked as a commercial real estate broker, the kind of career that moved her gradually into rooms she hadn't grown up in. Country club lunches, closing dinners with developers who had gone to boarding school, board meetings where everyone seemed to already know something she didn't. She told me she spent years being quietly wounded by that world. A curt reply here. A conversation that ended a beat too fast there. She assumed for a long time that people simply didn't like her, that something about her was being rejected personally, over and over. A senior partner at her firm, a woman who had grown up in exactly the world Renata was trying to enter, told her something once over coffee that she never forgot. People will forgive almost anything except confusion about your own value. Renata didn't understand it then. She understands it now. Then she found this channel. She told me that watching these videos was the first time anyone had explained, plainly, that what she'd been experiencing wasn't personal rejection at all. It was a language she had never been taught. A set of unwritten rules operating underneath every interaction, invisible to her because nobody in her early life had ever needed to name them. She started paying attention the way I teach you to. She noticed who overexplained and who didn't. She noticed who apologized for things that needed no apology. Within a few months, she told me, the rooms she used to feel like a guest in and started to feel like rooms she belonged in, not because she had changed who she was, but because she had finally learned to read the room correctly. Renata's realization is the entire spine of what we're covering today. The coldness she once mistook for dislike was never that. It was a difference in education, quietly enforced, rarely spoken aloud. My name is 𝐈𝐬𝐷𝐿. Every week I bring this community the information that nobody else is willing to say plainly. That community is called the Undeniables. If you are new here, subscribe right now, you belong here, and drop the city you are watching from in the comments below. I am always down there reading. Before we start, I have something for you. It's called the Elegant Morning Routine Checklist, and it's completely free. 12 rituals sophisticated women use to protect their energy, their presence, and their confidence before the world ever sees them. It's linked below this video, go get it. And if you've subscribed already, thank you. That's exactly the kind of woman this list was built for. Now, one of the 10 mistakes we're about to cover is the one Renata mentioned to me directly, the habit of explaining a decision that never needed defending in the first place. It is, without question, one of the fastest ways a room quietly reads your position before you've said another word. We'll get to it, and I promise you, once you see it, you will notice it everywhere. But first, mistake number one. Number one is announcing the name of what you own. I have watched women hold up a bag and say, unprompted, "Hand me my little Chanel," as though the room might otherwise miss it. The name did the work the object was supposed to do quietly. Researchers at Cornell studying consumer behavior have found that unsolicited brand naming is reliably read as a signal of status anxiety rather than status itself, the opposite of the intended effect. A boutique gallery director I know told me she stopped naming designers years ago after a client gently pointed out that nobody in that room needed convincing. The compliments, she said, only increased once she stopped asking for them. This is also where I want to mention, briefly, where habits like this one actually get rebuilt from the inside. The Undeniables Complete System is the program Renata used to work through her own signal habits, the ones nobody had ever pointed out to her directly. I'll come back to it. Let's keep going. Number 2 is taking a phone call in the middle of shared attention. A woman's phone rings across a dinner table mid-conversation, and I have watched her simply answer it without a second thought. Researchers at the University of Chicago studying attention and social hierarchy have found that interrupting shared focus for an outside call signals, unmistakably, whose attention the person considers to outrank whoever is currently sitting in front of them. A divorce attorney I know told me she now leaves her phone in another room entirely during any meal shared with another person present, without exception, regardless of who is calling her. She said the shift in how people opened up to her afterward, how much more readily they trusted her with the full, difficult truth of a situation, was immediate, and it has never once reversed itself since the day she made that quiet, private rule for herself and never once broke it, even under pressure to. Number 3 is deflecting a compliment with self-deprecation. I have watched women respond to "that's a beautiful sweater" with "oh, it's nothing, it's old," almost before the compliment has finished leaving the other person's mouth. Princeton researchers studying self-presentation have found that reflexive self-deprecation in response to a compliment reads as genuine discomfort with being seen, and it subtly obligates the other person to keep reassuring you again and again until the entire exchange becomes quietly exhausting for both people involved in it. An interior stylist I know trained herself slowly and deliberately over the better part of a year to simply say thank you. Nothing more, nothing added, nothing explained away or softened. She told me it felt genuinely strange and unnatural for months, almost rude somehow, like she was withholding something people expected of her. Now it's the very first thing new clients mention about her, unprompted, within their first few meetings together, before anything else about her comes up at all. Number 4 is over-explaining a decision nobody asked you to defend. Someone announces a choice, an ordered dish, a canceled plan, a promotion turned down, and then keeps talking. Reasons stack on reasons. Nobody requested any of it. This signals something a room reads instantly: uncertainty about your own right to have decided it all. Researchers at Harvard Business School studying workplace communication have found that unsolicited justification lowers how decisive and senior a person is perceived to be, even when the underlying decision itself is sound. A wealth management associate I know told me she used to narrate every choice she made in client meetings, out of habit, out of nerves. A mentor pulled her aside and told her something she never forgot: state it once and let it stand. She stopped explaining herself in rooms where no explanation had been requested. Within months, colleagues began deferring to her decisions without question. The same decisions she used to feel compelled to defend 3 separate times before anyone had challenged her at all. Renata told me this was the habit that changed the most for her, once she finally saw it. Number 5 is performing warmth through over-complimenting. I have sat across from people who stack compliment on compliment within the first minute of meeting someone new, one after another, barely pausing for breath between them at all. Yale researchers studying impression management have found that a high volume of flattery is unconsciously read as an attempt to earn favor, rather than to genuinely extend it, and it actually lowers, measurably, how sincere the speaker is perceived to be over time. A nonprofit development director I know limits herself, deliberately and without exception, to one specific, considered compliment per encounter, chosen with care, deliberately, rather than offered on reflex. She told me, more than once, that donors trust her instincts more, not less, because of that restraint, and several have told her directly, unprompted over the years, that her opinion carries more weight than anyone else's in the room, precisely because she doesn't hand it out freely to everyone she happens to meet. Number 6 is redirecting someone else's story back to yourself. I have watched a woman share something genuinely vulnerable at a table, only for the reply to begin with that reminds me of when I, before her sentence has even finished landing in the room. The Harvard Business Review has written about how conversational redirection, even when it comes from a well-intentioned place, signals an inability to sit quietly inside someone else's moment without reclaiming a portion of it for oneself. A hospital chief of staff I know now waits a full breath, deliberately, before responding to anything personal shared with her, resisting the urge to relate it to a story of her own instead. She said colleagues started confiding in her far more honestly than before, once she made that single small adjustment to how she listened, and she has never once regretted the extra silence it cost her to hold back. Not a single time. Number 7 is correcting someone in front of others instead of privately. I have watched a factual correction delivered at a full table, technically accurate in every detail, but quietly humiliating all the same, for the person on the receiving end of it. Oxford researchers studying social standing have found that public correction is processed less as an act of helpfulness and more as a bid for relative status at another person's direct expense, whether or not that was the true intention behind it. A boarding school headmistress I know corrects nothing at all in front of a group, regardless of how minor or how tempting the moment feels to her. She told me the private word afterward, delivered quietly and without an audience present, accomplishes exactly the same thing without costing anyone their composure in the room, and she has quietly built an entire career on that single unshakable habit alone, more than on anything else she's ever done. Number 8 is narrating your own generosity out loud. I heard someone announce, right at the table, exactly what they tipped, or exactly what figure, precisely, they gave, as though the exact number itself needed a live witness present in the room in order to fully matter. Researchers at Cornell studying prosocial behavior have found that self-narrated generosity is read as quiet uncertainty that the gesture would ever be noticed on its own at all, which quietly, and rather completely, undercuts the very generosity the gesture was originally meant to display in the first place. A family office advisor I know told me her wealthiest, most established clients never mention a figure at all, not once, in years of working closely alongside them. She said the ones who do bring it up unprompted are, without exception, newer to having a figure worth mentioning in the first place, still quietly learning the difference between generosity and its performance. Number 9 is leaving someone out of the introduction. I have watched a conversation begin, and a third person simply never get named to the group. University of Chicago researchers studying group dynamics have found that this omission, even unintentional, is one of the fastest ways status is silently assigned in a room, and one of the fastest ways it's silently withheld. A corporate recruiter I know now introduces everyone by name and one specific detail, every time, without exception. She said it's the single habit people thank her for most. We're almost through the list, and before we close it out, I want to mention once more where this kind of fluency actually gets built, permanently, not temporarily. The Undeniables Complete System is the framework behind everything Renata described to me. The identity work underneath the signals, the social architecture, the presence that doesn't require narrating itself. It's linked below. Number 10, the last one, is filling every silence with unnecessary chatter. People rush, almost physically, to fill a natural pause in conversation, as though the silence itself were an emergency requiring their immediate attention and repair. Oxford researchers studying conversational dynamics have found that tolerance for silence correlates directly with perceived confidence, while the urge to fill it with any words at all correlates just directly and just as reliably with precisely the opposite. A psychotherapist I know, someone who spends her days sitting quietly across from anxious people, told me plainly, without hesitation, that the most composed client she has ever treated, without a single exception across decades of clinical practice with them, are the ones most genuinely, visibly at ease, saying absolutely nothing at all in that moment, letting a pause simply exist in the room, unfilled, unexplained, entirely undefended, until whatever needed to be said next finally arrived on its own, in its own unhurried time. So here is what all 10 of these have in common, Renata, and every woman watching who has ever mistaken a room's coldness for a verdict on her worth. None of these mistakes are really about etiquette at all. Every one of them is about certainty, or the visible lack of it, leaking out through a deflected compliment, a decision over-explained, a silence rushed to fill. Class was never the manners themselves. It was the ease underneath them. Write that down. The room isn't reading your rules. It's reading your certainty. Here is your assignment. Pick 3 mistakes from this list, the ones that stung the most to hear. Practice correcting them for the next 7 days. Then come back and comment. I corrected over-explaining, deflecting compliments, and your third mistake. Tell me what shifted. Comment below or send me an email. I read everyone. Subscribe before you go so you don't miss what's coming next. Until next time, to every woman watching, you are not here by accident. You are an undeniable. Act like it. Isabel.